What happens when Hollywood throws out the rule book? From bold rule breakers to notorious heartbreakers, these actors didn't just define an era, they set the standard for what it meant to be truly unforgettable. Who were the real-life rebels behind the silver screen? Let's step into the spotlight and uncover the legends who made pre-code Hollywood so thrilling, and sometimes so shocking. Clara Bo. Clara Bo was more than just a movie star. She was a living, breathing symbol of the roaring 20s, a true force of nature who changed the face of Hollywood forever. Dubbed the It Girl, Bo captivated audiences with her infectious energy, unfiltered charm, and a natural talent for drawing every eye in the room. At a time when film was just learning to speak, she needed no words to express her unique style. On screen, she played fun-loving flappers and fast-talking city girls who lived by their own rules. And off-screen, her life was every bit as adventurous. Bo's journey to stardom was not easy. Growing up in Brooklyn in poverty, she experienced a turbulent childhood. Her family life was filled with hardships, but Clara's tenacity pushed her to win a beauty contest that launched her into the world of silent films. Her big break came with the film It, where her vivacious spirit became the template for modern stardom. Clara was suddenly everywhere. Magazines, newspapers, and of course, gossip columns. The media couldn't get enough of her, and neither could her fans. But Clara Bo's fame came with a price. Hollywood at the time was a wild frontier with few boundaries, and Clara dove right into the lifestyle. She was honest about her love of parties, and didn't care much for the traditional expectations placed upon women. Stories swirled about her romances with directors, actors, and even women, adding fuel to her legend. Bo's authenticity, her refusal to hide who she was, and her open disregard for Hollywood's good girl image made her both beloved and controversial. Despite constant public scrutiny and even legal battles with former staff members who tried to blackmail her, Clara's star burned brightly. When the talkies took over, Bo faced new challenges, including anxiety about her Brooklyn accent. Still, she worked hard, starred in Wings, the first film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, and became one of Paramount's top stars. But behind the scenes, Hollywood's grueling pressures and relentless gossip took a toll on her mental health, leading her to retire at just 28. Clara Bo's legend remains not only for her film work, but for her refusal to conform. She showed that living by your own rules could be both thrilling and dangerous in Hollywood's golden age. Jean Harlo. If the pre-code era needed a poster child for glamour and boldness, Jean Harlo would be it. Dubbed the blonde bombshell, she practically defined what it meant to be a star with an attitude. Harlo's story is as dazzling as it is tragic, full of triumphs, scandals, and unforgettable moments. Her rise was meteoric, and her life became a blueprint for generations of actresses who would follow. Jean Harlo started as an extra, but her breakthrough came in Howard Hughes's Hell's Angels, where her platinum blonde hair and effervescent presence captured the imagination of moviegoers across America. It wasn't just her looks that set her apart. It was the way she moved, the way she spoke, and the confidence that radiated from every frame. Harlo played characters who weren't afraid to go after what they wanted. She was sassy, witty, and unafraid to steal scenes from her co-stars, both male and female. But Jean Harlo's life off the screen was just as riveting as her movies. She faced the constant glare of the media, which thrived on the endless stories of her personal life. There were high-profile relationships, whirlwind marriages, and a series of romantic entanglements that fascinated the public. Harlo's second husband, Paul Byrne, was found dead under mysterious circumstances just months after their marriage, and speculation about the incident became the talk of Hollywood. Some claimed foul play, others pointed to Byrne's own troubles, but the tragedy cast a long shadow over Harlo's career. Despite, or perhaps because of, her personal challenges, Harlo became one of MGM's most bankable stars. She brought a daring wit to films like Red-Headed Woman and Dinner at 8, movies that tackled social taboos with humor and verve. Jean's off-the-cuff one-liners and dazzling costumes made her a trendsetter. Women across the country bleached their hair in her signature shade, trying to capture even a fraction of her appeal. Yet, as the Hays Code began tightening its grip on Hollywood, Harlo's ability to shock and delight was gradually constrained. Still, Her screen persona was so indelible that she remained a star until her untimely death at just 26. Jean Harlo's legacy isn't just about the roles she played, it's about how she lived, fearlessly, fabulously, and always on her own terms. Mae West. Mae West wasn't just a Hollywood star, she was a cultural phenomenon. Arriving in Hollywood with a Broadway reputation as a provocateur, West became famous for her quick wit, double entendres, and unflappable confidence. While other actresses might have courted scandal, Mae West built her entire career around it, and audiences loved her for it. Long before she arrived in Hollywood, Mae was making waves in New York with her stage plays. Her notorious play, Sex, landed her in jail for corrupting the morals of youth, but rather than shy away from the infamy, Mae used it to further her image. She knew how to play the media, and she leaned into her persona as a bold, independent woman. When she hit the big screen in Night After Night, she quickly overshadowed the film's original star. And soon after, she wrote and starred in She Done Him Wrong. The film was a sensation, rescuing Paramount from financial trouble and earning an Academy Award nomination. West's secret weapon was her ability to push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable, all with a mischievous glint in her eye. She championed women's independence and freedom, both in her movies and in her life. Her signature walk, her flamboyant costumes, and her iconic one-liners became the stuff of legend. Even when the censors tried to rein her in, Mae found ways to get her message across with a sly turn of phrase or a suggestive glance. Off-screen, Mae's life was just as colorful. She surrounded herself with an eclectic circle of friends and admirers, and she was known for her generosity as well as her outrageous parties. Mae refused to let Hollywood or anyone dictate how she should live or what she should say. Even as the Hays Code came into force and curtailed some of her trademark style, West continued to delight audiences for decades, always with the same wink and swagger that made her a legend in the pre-Code era. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's journey from humble beginnings to Hollywood royalty is the stuff of legend. She was not born into fame. She fought for every moment in the spotlight, driven by an ambition that never let up. In the pre-Code era, Crawford stood out for her steely determination, glamour, and the magnetic intensity she brought to every role. Crawford's early life was marked by hardship. Born Lucille Le Sueur, she worked her way up from chorus girl to leading lady through sheer willpower. She took on a new name, a new persona, and a new life, transforming herself into the epitome of the modern woman. Joan was not content to be a passive starlet. She wanted to define what a movie star could be. Films like Grand Hotel and Rain showcased her as a tough, independent woman who could handle anything life threw her way. But Joan's off-screen life was equally headline-grabbing. She was known for her high-profile romances, including rumored affairs with co-stars and powerful Hollywood men. Joan had a taste for luxury and wasn't afraid to pursue it. She threw lavish parties, surrounded herself with celebrities, and demanded only the best. Hollywood insiders gossiped endlessly about her private life, fueling her legend and her brand. Crawford also went to great lengths to maintain her image. In one famous example, she reportedly had several of her molars removed in her 20s to create sharper cheekbones, a testament to her commitment to looking a certain way on camera. Joan's discipline extended to every part of her life, from her demanding work ethic to her strict beauty regime. Yet, beneath the carefully cultivated exterior, Crawford battled insecurities and the pressures of maintaining her stardom. Despite the relentless scrutiny, Joan Crawford persevered, reinventing herself time and again through the pre-Code era and beyond. Her legacy is not only one of glamour and talent, but of unyielding resilience in the face of an industry that demanded perfection. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck's story is a testament to grit, talent, and versatility. Known for her ability to portray strong, complex women, Stanwyck became a defining figure of the pre-Code era. Her screen presence was electric, bringing a unique blend of toughness and vulnerability to every performance. Stanwyck's early life was anything but easy. Orphaned at a young age and raised in poverty, she learned to rely on herself. By 16, she was already working as a chorus girl, determined to make her mark in the world. Her big break came with a role in the Broadway production of Burlesque, which showcased her acting chops and undeniable charisma. Hollywood soon took notice, and she made her film debut in Ladies of Leisure. Stanwick's pre-code roles set her apart. In films like Babyface and Night Nurse, she played women who took control of their destinies, sometimes by bending or breaking the rules. These characters weren't damsels in distress, they were survivors who did whatever it took to get ahead. Stanwick brought a realism to these roles, drawing on her own life experience to create characters who felt authentic and relatable. She wasn't afraid to show vulnerability, but she always did so from a place of strength. Off camera, Barbara was known for her independent spirit and straightforward attitude. She navigated Hollywood's often treacherous waters with integrity and determination. Her marriage to actor Robert Taylor was closely watched, and while their relationship had its ups and downs, Stanwick maintained her reputation for professionalism and dedication. Barbara Stanwyck's career spanned over 6 decades, but it was her work in the pre-code era that established her as one of Hollywood's most enduring stars. Her legacy lies in the trail she blazed for women in film, proving that strength and softness could coexist and that a star could succeed on her own terms. Norma Shearer. Norma Shearer's name is synonymous with class, ambition, and boundary-pushing performances. As MGM's reigning queen in the early 1930s, Shearer was both a symbol of elegance and a pioneer in portraying modern women. Her pre-code filmography is a testament to her willingness to take risks and challenge society's expectations. Shearer's path to stardom was not without obstacles. Born in Montreal, she moved to New York with her mother after her father's business failed. Dismissed by early critics for her looks, Norma refused to give up. She tirelessly sought out acting jobs, eventually catching the eye of MGM, where she quickly rose to prominence. Her marriage to MGM production head Irving Thalberg gave her unique influence, but Shearer earned her place through talent and tenacity. What set Shearer apart during the pre-code era was her choice of roles. Films like The Divorcee and A Free Soul featured her as women grappling with love, independence, and social norms. Shearer wasn't afraid to tackle controversial subjects, and her performances helped normalize conversations about women's rights and personal freedom. A famous photo shoot by George Harrell emphasized her newfound confidence and allure, positioning her as both glamorous and modern. Shearer's off-screen life was equally noteworthy. Known for her charm and intelligence, she navigated Hollywood's power structures with grace and determination. She took risks in her personal life as well, defying expectations and refusing to be typecast. Norma Shearer's influence waned somewhat with the enforcement of the Hays Code, but her contributions to the pre-code era endure. She redefined what a leading lady could be: intelligent, assertive, and unafraid to break the rules in pursuit of happiness. Tula Bankhead. Tula Bankhead was a whirlwind, a woman who refused to be pinned down by convention or expectation. Known for her husky voice, razor-sharp wit, and a life that was as unpredictable as her performances, Bankhead became a legend in both Hollywood and on Broadway. She embodied the pre-code era's rebellious energy, living every day as if it were her last. Born into a prominent Alabama family, Bankhead chose a life on the stage over the comforts of Southern society. Her natural talent and striking presence quickly won her acclaim in both London and New York. When she finally arrived in Hollywood, she brought her own unique flair to the screen, appearing in films like Faithless and Devil in the Deep. Bankhead's reputation for breaking boundaries was well-earned. She was open about her lifestyle, forging friendships and relationships with people from all walks of life. Tula's parties were legendary, filled with artists, writers, and fellow actors who delighted in her unpredictability. She had a penchant for outspokenness, never shying away from controversy or confrontation. Her personal life was an open book, and she reveled in shocking those who tried to put her in a box. Off-screen, Bankhead was known for her generosity, humor, and loyalty to her friends. She championed causes she believed in and was fearless in her opinions, regardless of how unpopular they might be. While Hollywood sometimes struggled to contain her wild spirit, she never let the industry's rules stifle her individuality. Tula Bankhead's legacy is not only her work on stage and screen, but her example as a woman who lived life unapologetically. She proved that authenticity and courage could shine just as brightly as any Hollywood spotlight. John Barrymore. John Barrymore was the ultimate Hollywood bad boy, a man whose talents on stage and screen were matched only by his reputation for living life to the fullest. With a voice and presence that could command any room, Barrymore became a defining figure of the pre-code era, both for his artistry and his wild escapades. Born into a legendary acting family, Barrymore seemed destined for stardom. He excelled in both theater and film, moving seamlessly between Shakespearean roles and Hollywood blockbusters like Grand Hotel and Svengali. On screen, he was magnetic, embodying characters with depth and complexity that few could match. Off-screen, however, Barrymore was notorious for his indulgences. He loved a good party, often surrounding himself with artists, writers, and fellow actors. His relationships were as dramatic as his performances, and his escapades, sometimes involving public pranks, wild nights, or last-minute escapes, became the stuff of legend. The press delighted in reporting on his adventures, and he seemed to relish the attention, never shying away from a scandal. Barrymore's lifestyle came with consequences. His health suffered as a result of his choices, and he often found himself at odds with the studios that tried to manage his unruly behavior. Still, his talent was undeniable, and his contributions to the stage and screen left a lasting impact on American culture. Despite the ups and downs, John Barrymore's legacy endures. He helped define what it meant to be a Hollywood star, charismatic, talented, and larger than life, both on and off the screen. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was unlike anyone Hollywood had ever seen. With her smoky voice, androgynous style, and air of mystery, she captivated audiences and broke all the rules about what a leading lady could be. Dietrich became a global sensation, celebrated not just for her performances, but for her ability to challenge societal norms. Dietrich first made a splash in Germany with The Blue Angel, but Hollywood quickly beckoned. Once in America, she worked with director Josef von Sternberg to create an unforgettable screen persona, sophisticated, alluring, and always just out of reach. In films like Morocco and Shanghai Express, Dietrich played women who lived on their own terms, often blurring the lines between traditional gender roles. Off-screen, Dietrich was just as groundbreaking. She cultivated an image that was equal parts glamorous and rebellious, often dressing in men's clothing and moving through Hollywood's social circles with ease. She forged deep friendships and had rumored romances with men and women alike, all while keeping a firm boundary around her private life. Her refusal to be limited by the expectations of her era made her a trailblazer. Dietrich also stood up for her beliefs, refusing to work in Nazi Germany and supporting the Allied troops during World War II. Her courage, both personal and political, earned her admiration around the world. Marlene's impact on fashion, film, and culture can still be seen today, as she paved the way for future generations to live authentically. Dietrich's legend is built not just on her films, but on her unwavering refusal to compromise her identity. In the pre-code era, she showed that true stars are the ones who set their own rules and stick to them. Ramon Novaro. Ramon Novaro was more than just a handsome face. He was one of Hollywood's earliest heartthrobs and a trailblazer for Latino actors in the film industry. With his matinee idol looks and quiet charisma, Novaro became a symbol of romance and adventure in the silent and early sound eras. But behind the glamour, his life was complicated by secrets and struggles that reflected the prejudices of his time. Born in Mexico, Novaro moved to Los Angeles with his family during the Mexican Revolution. His good looks and natural talent landed him roles in the burgeoning film industry, and he quickly rose to fame with starring roles in films like Ben-Hur and Scaramouche. Novaro was the first Latin actor to become a genuine Hollywood star, breaking barriers and winning fans around the world. But Novaro's public persona was carefully managed. The Hollywood studio system demanded that its stars fit into certain molds, and Novaro was no exception. He was often cast as the romantic lead, and studios worked hard to protect his image as a dashing, eligible bachelor. Behind the scenes, Novaro faced immense pressure to keep his private life hidden. The era's rigid moral codes and intolerance for difference forced him to live much of his life in secrecy, making it difficult for him to form lasting relationships or share his true self with the world. Novaro's life was also marked by moments of great generosity and kindness. He supported his family, helped friends, and quietly gave to charity. But the weight of keeping up appearances took its toll. Despite the challenges, he continued to act in films and on television well into the 1950s, even as Hollywood's tastes changed. Ramon Novaro's legacy is one of resilience in the face of adversity. He opened doors for future generations of Latino actors and left behind a body of work that continues to inspire. His story is a reminder of both the allure and the cost of Hollywood fame in an era of secrets and scandal. From dazzling on-screen moments to jaw-dropping real-life drama, these icons of pre-code Hollywood showed us that sometimes truth is even wilder than fiction. Their lives may have been filled with controversy, but they paved the way for the stars and the stories of today. Which of these legendary actors surprised you most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through old Hollywood's wildest era, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from cinema's most fascinating chapters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Spotlight.